Hello and welcome to the Becoming Your Highest Self podcast. I'm your host, Macy Renee, and we are going on a journey together, my friend. If you've been looking for a podcast geared towards your growth, self-awareness, navigating your brain's daily mind drama, and deep inner work to become your highest and best self, you are in the perfect place. Let's get started. Hello, happy Monday. Welcome back to another episode of Becoming Your Highest Self podcast. Better late than never for a Monday episode release. Today's been one of those days where if everything could go wrong, it definitely is, or there's just been like a lot of things coming in my direction that I was not prepared for. So I feel like I'm having to karate chop and do damage control for a lot of things I didn't plan on doing. But that's life, right? Sometimes you have a lot of unexpected curveballs that just try to take you down on a Monday. And I wasn't going to let it happen. I'm going to still record a podcast episode. I'm going to get done the things that need to get done no matter what. So, persistence, okay? All right, you guys, I'm excited. This week I leave for Austin. I'm going to be around a lot of like-minded people, hundreds of coaches, all with different backgrounds and experiences. And I'm sure I'm going to leave that event feeling super inspired, and I'm just so excited. Really quickly, want to remind you that I am doing a free masterclass called The Equipped Parent. It was originally scheduled for today. It is not happening today. I rescheduled it because here's the thing. I really take the work of EQ, aka emotional intelligence, seriously. And I wanted this masterclass to feel like you paid a lot of money for it for absolutely nothing. Like, I want to blow your mind with the value that's offered for it being free. And I have so much I want to say. And also, I realize that people who come into my world, everybody has different levels of understanding, different levels of personal development. Some have had none, some have had a lot, some have never had a coach, some have had, coaching, some have worked with me specifically and know my style, know my work. But some don't. And whenever I do a masterclass, especially something free, I want it to be able to be broken down in simple language. I want it to be able to flow. I want to be able to, explain and teach the concepts really, really well. And I want to make sure that no matter what level you're coming into the masterclass with, like no matter what your current level of understanding is, that you feel like you can walk away and leave with something valuable. So I do try to speak to the different levels of experience in the room, whether you've had a ton of personal development and coaching or you've had zero. And I definitely could have hashed out all of the content to be able to do that masterclass today. But if I was being completely honest with myself, I just didn't feel fully ready. I did not feel fully ready. I am still trying to figure out how I want to organize it, how to really make it clear, how I want to teach the concepts. And so I just gave myself grace and decided to give myself more time because I didn't want to be in this energy of like, nah. I wanted to be in the energy of like, all right, let's go. Let's help everyone understand themselves more deeply, understand how this can apply in even your parenting, and so on and so forth. And so it's really a class for everyone. You don't have to be a parent to be in. You can be someone who does have kids. Your kids can be grown. Your kids can be little or teenagers. You can have no kids at all. You can want to have kids. You can not want to have kids. And you would still be perfect for the Equipped Parent Masterclass. So the link is in the bio. Make sure you click it in the show notes. You will request to be in a Facebook group. I will not accept it until the day of the masterclass. It was supposed to be today, April 4th. It will instead be April 14th. It will be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Okay? So we have over 50 people who are already going to be in there. And if you want to be one of those people, I would absolutely love to have you. It's absolutely free. It just takes your time. Okay? So, with this being said, I wanted to talk about something that came up on a coaching call today. And I think that it's such a good topic. I don't know that I've ever talked about it, but I was on a coaching call with one of my clients that I absolutely love and adore talking to every week. And we were talking about all the amazing things going on in her life. And then she said, I'm just so lucky that this stuff landed in my lap and that it's all working out. And immediately I was like, wait a minute, let's circle around to that. Like luck didn't land and have you experiencing what you're experiencing now. Like you're experiencing what you're experiencing now because you've created it. Because you're doing the work. Like because you've become that version of yourself that can have it all. And I could see some of the resistance on her face, but we talked through that a bit because here's what I want you to know. And also what I explained to my client is that you're creating in your life every second of every minute of every hour of every day. You are creating your life. Yes, you have that much power. I know that you might not think that you do, but you do. And I'm going to break it down for you. Remember that our circumstances are not what create our results in life. We often think our circumstances are what is giving us the life that we're living. So you think that your job is creating your results. You think that a person is creating your results. Like you think it's these external things that are creating your results. And it's not true. It's never the circumstance. It's about your thoughts. And remember, your thoughts are the beliefs that you think over and over and over again. Your beliefs and your belief system becomes a part of you, a part of who you show up as and how you're showing up. And so, what's really important to know is that your thoughts are what are creating your results. So if your thoughts are what create your results, you have to pay attention to the thoughts that are happening in your brain. Whether those thoughts are happening subconsciously under the radar or very consciously in your everyday decision making. Okay, so we have our subconscious brain that serves us really well. That's like the part of us that, can drive to work and you don't have to think about it, can flush a toilet. You don't have to relearn how to flush a toilet or to turn on a light switch or how to write, right? Your subconscious takes care of all of that for you. That's why people, and I experienced this as an occupational therapist, but that's why whenever I had patients that had experienced a stroke, okay, and they were all of a sudden maybe paralyzed one side, like on one side of their body, and they had to relearn how to get dressed. They had to relearn how to use the bathroom, how to wipe, shower, make a cup of coffee. Like they had to relearn how to do all of that. Like it's very important to know how powerful your brain is, the subconscious brain is. And whenever that area becomes altered in any fashion, you have to reteach your brain how to be. And so just like a patient would who's maybe experienced this, who has has experienced a stroke, you can choose to rewire your brain at any given moment. And because you can choose to rewire your thoughts and your brain at any given moment, how you think is what creates what you feel in your body. We know that what you feel in your body is what drives the actions you take or don't take in your life. And that is what creates your results. So it's your thinking, which leads to the emotions you have in your body. And the emotions that you have in your body lead to the actions that you do or do not take in your life. And that's what gives you the result. So the big overarching picture that I wanted my client today to know is that over the course of several weeks, she's been shifting a lot of things. Her awareness has grown a lot. She's been thinking differently. She's been learning her patterns. She's been learning why she reacts the way that she does. She's been learning how she would have responded as her past self, maybe prior to coaching, prior to the awareness being built. And now she's able to see like when her brain is offering her something that's not going to serve her. She's able to think, more clearly before she just has like an impulse that maybe she would have had in the past. And so what I wanted her to realize is that these little things that feel so small are very, very big. And they change the overall frequency of your energy and the person that you're showing up as and how you're showing up in the world. And you have like when there are things that you want in your life, Okay. Like things that you don't know how to get. Like, for instance, when I think of building a multi-million dollar business, it feels daunting to me. My current self has no idea how to do that. Like, it feels so foreign to me. I told you guys on the episode, The Human Part of Success, that I had had a really great financial month. And almost immediately after that, my brain totally went into self sabotage. Like, totally went back to, oh my God, it all ends here. It's never going to happen again. We're not meant for this. We cannot do this. This isn't who we've been. Holy shit, this feels really scary. We don't know what to do. And I was explaining this to my grandma, and she was like, "Really? That happened? Like, you don't just believe that since you've done it once, you can do it again?" And I'm like, "No, because people have human brains, and the human brain, especially when you experience something foreign, your brain totally freaks out. Like, oh my God, this isn't what we're used to. This isn't who we've been. Something's gone wrong, or something is going to go wrong. Like, I can't get used to having it this good because clearly something bad is going to happen that's going to ruin it all. So I better prepare myself for the awful thing." And actually, this was brought up on our coaching call today too, because we are all like, the only thing that's happening in that moment is we're resisting feeling the emotion of what might happen, and we're failing ahead of time, anticipating something to happen that we don't even want to happen. Like, we want to keep experiencing the good, but because our brain isn't used to it, and it's not used to this new version of ourself that has created all these wonderful things in our life, it tries to sabotage all of it. And it tries to make it all go away. And it starts preparing for like the letdown way before the letdown even has to happen. And so it's this interesting thing that our brain does. But the point of the matter is that when your brain starts to sabotage you when things are being like when things are going really well, you want to catch that quick, because that is just a misfiring of your brain. And remember, if your brain's this huge creator of results, you want to make sure that you're creating results that you're actually going to be happy with, which means that you have to be in charge of your thought process. So you don't want to have the thought process like all goes downhill from here, we're sucky, it's never going to happen again. You don't want those to be the thoughts that are revolving in your mind for a long period of time, because those thoughts will create your results. You want the results to be like, I am this woman, I am this man. Like, of course this is happening for me. Like, of course things are going great in my life. Of course, because I show up as this person. I feel my emotions. I don't run from them. Like, I actually allow myself to be a full human and experience all the things, and I take action from my highest self. And of course, that's why I'm getting the results that I'm getting. So, what I wanted to really explain is that all of the things that you want are in orbit for you all the time. Now, I know this sounds a little bit woo, but truly, if you can think of everything you want, so I think of like growing a multi-million dollar business. I know that at any point I could just reach up essentially and grab it, right? It's there, it's circulating, it's there for me. It's the same for you. Like the ideal relationship that you've always wanted, the home that you've always wanted, the family that you've always wanted, the experiences you've always wanted, the money you've always wanted. All of that is always circulating. Like, think of it as right above your head. You speak it out, you want it, and it's there for you to grab. The only thing that keeps you from getting it is the gap work necessary to achieve it, which is basically the roadblocks of your brain. The belief that you can't have it, the belief that you're not good enough, the belief that it's going to be too hard, the belief that something's going to go wrong, the belief that you're never going to be able to have it, that you're not deserving of it, that, whatever the story is. I mean, I could go on and on and on, right? Like, most people, what they do is they sabotage themselves from the very thing that they want. So one of my favorite movies ever from childhood is Halloween Town. Millennials may know exactly what I'm talking about, or parents that watch this with their kids. My grandparents would know it because I made them watch it a million times. But Halloween Town on Disney was one of my favorite movies as a kid. And it's about Marnie finding out that she's a witch at 13 years old, and basically she has to step into that version of herself. Otherwise, she loses her powers forever, right? And the movie's just really, really cute. I always loved it as a kid. But there's a part where her grandmother, who is a witch and is, taking her under her wing and trying to do her training so that she can step into this version of herself, they're learning how to fly. Or not the grandma. The grandma's been flying forever. But Marnie, the 13-year-old, is learning how to fly on her broom. And basically, her grandma says to her, all you have to do is want something and let yourself have it. And I have loved that line my entire life, but I've loved it even more as an adult because I've realized how true that is. You have to want something and let, that being the key word, let yourself have it. Now, a lot of times we think, oh, I'm good at letting myself have it. I think about how I want a winning lottery ticket all the time, and then I let myself have it by going to the going to the gas station and getting the lottery ticket. But then they don't win, right? And the reason being a lot of times is because there's also that little twinge of self doubt. Like, it's never going to happen for me. It's never going to work out. We're not worthy of this. We're not cut out for this. It's too good to be true. I'm just not that person. And all of that self chatter are what? They're thoughts. They're just thoughts in your brain. But your thoughts are what contribute to your feelings, and your feelings are what drive what you do, and what you do or do not do gives you the results. And also, what's really important is that emotions are very strong energy connectors or energy speakers. Energy, I'm trying to think of the word. It's like emotions are your energetic signature. So I've talked about this on the podcast in the past where if someone approaches you and they've been really, really upset, even if they're like in front of you smiling, you're going to feel the true energy. You're going to notice something's off, especially if you know them pretty darn well. Like they might be smiling on the outside, but most of us are pretty good, especially if we're really in tune with our own emotions. We're really good about catching someone's bullshit, right? Like, stop smiling when I know that you've been crying, or stop holding it together whenever I can visibly see that you're falling apart, or I can feel it, like something's not right. That's because our emotions are also carriers of energy. So that's a very powerful thing. So if energetically and emotionally you have this feeling of doubt, you have this feeling of uncertainty, okay? Like those are very powerful energetic signatures you're sending out. So you can be thinking, I want it, I'm going to let myself have it. But if your feeling is doubt or uncertainty, that's going to be the underlying energy that drives the actions that you do. So then the actions are I self sabotage, I stop thinking about it, I start preparing for the worst case scenario. Totally talk myself down. I stop doing the thought work. I stop showing up for my coaching calls. I just totally go off track. Well, then the result that you end up getting is not the result that you want. And what our brain does at that point, a lot of times, it's like, oh, I knew this was going to happen. This is why I prepared myself for the worst. I prepared myself for the worst because I knew it was going to happen. Well, no, you're a creator. You're creating every second of every minute of every hour of every day. You created that. Of course, you knew it was going to happen. You knew it was going to happen, and then you created that result. So, if that's not the result that you want, what do you have to change? You don't change your circumstances, although that can be a great thing too sometimes. You change the thoughts that you're having. So, like when I had my larger month, it's something that I've wanted for a very long time. It was always available to me. If I think of it as being above my head in orbit, it was always there. But I had to become the woman that could grab it. I had to match it with my thoughts. I had to match it with my feelings. I had to match it with my actions. And that was the result that I created. Okay. And then after I got that result, what I've noticed come up for me is like then the self sabotaging thoughts, right? Of like, oh no, Oh no, what if it never happens again? What if I'm sucky? What if nobody else ever wants to coach with me ever, ever, ever? Which is so crazy. It's so dumb. Okay, it's just so ridiculous. But that's what our brain does. And you can probably recognize this in your own life that maybe there's things that you want, but you're sabotaging yourself before you ever get there. You're talking yourself down from it. And then you wonder why you're not creating the life that you want, the results that you want. Well, the reason that you're not is because you're not in full belief. You're not in the full energetic emotion that you need to be in to create the result that you're wanting. And that's really where a coach comes in. It's because when we start doing this to ourselves, a lot of times it's in a blind spot that we can't see. It just feels like our truth. It just feels like a fact. And we're not really sure why we're getting the result that we're getting, but it's like, I'm doing everything in my life maybe the way that I always have been doing it. I don't really see a problem with it. And then that's the problem, right? Like we don't catch our own BS. We don't catch our own limiting beliefs. We don't catch our own stories. We don't catch our own feelings. We don't catch our own resistance to the feelings. We don't catch the actions that we're avoiding and the actions that we're also doing that aren't serving us. We don't catch all of it all the time. So having that third party there that's kind of like, hey, this is where you're effing up. Get it together. Like, you don't even want this result. Don't let yourself have this crappy result. Like, this isn't even what you want. What are you doing? Pull yourself together. That's really the benefit of a coach, right? It's like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. Let me just slap myself and get it together. And when you have that, I think there's an extra level of accountability of like, okay, I am not only just living in my brain, but I'm having someone else scan it as well and make sure there's nothing I'm missing. It's kind of like a book writer. Whenever you're writing a book, then you hire an editor to check over and make sure there's nothing that you've misspelled or nothing that, sounds a little janky. Like, they come and they read all of your precious work and they just make sure that it's really, really sound, and they help you fix the things that aren't so sound. And that's really what a coach is doing for your brain. Like, you're living in your brain, but the coach is kind of like the scanner that's making sure everything's lining up for the result that you tell the coach you want. So, like, clients come to me and they say, this is the result I want. I want to be better at emotional intelligence. I want to be a better mom. I want to be a better father. I want to be a better friend. I want to love my coworkers, or at least like them and be able to get along with them. I want to be a better leader. I want to be able to get a new job. I want to be able to make more money. And so they're telling me all of these things that they want, and then we get on the coaching call and I keep in mind what they want. And then I'm scanning essentially their brain as they're talking to figure out what pieces are not going to give them the result that they want. And I catch the things that they're not able to catch. And then we work on it together to give them the result that they want. So, all of this to say in this episode that I really wanted my client today to recognize, like, this isn't just happening to you. Like, this isn't just because you got lucky. This is because you're becoming that woman. Like, you're creating it. You're creating it. You're changing little things each day. You're noticing more things after coaching calls. You're becoming more self aware. You're becoming more in tune with your hell yeses and your hell nos in life. Like, you are very clear on what it is that you want and what's going to fit, and what it is that you don't and what's not going to fit. And because you're doing that, you're operating at a different energetic frequency. You're showing up as literally a different version of yourself, your highest self. And the universe is simply just responding. God's just responding, right? However you want to look at it, like, energy is just responding. All of those things that you wanted, that were in orbit all along, now they're coming to you because you're an energetic match for it. You've become that person. And that's just so cool to see. Like, I absolutely love it, seeing that my clients are creating the lives that they really, really want for themselves. There's so much power in that. And it's good to know for you that you get to create your life too. You're not a victim. Life is not happening to you. People are not doing things to you. You're creating it. Take full responsibility for it, for when it's going shitty and for when it's going good, because guess what? You're the one creating it. Okay. So even if there's people in your life that are really jacking your life up, you have to look at what responsibility you're playing in that. Is it as simple as I'm staying? Like I'm staying and letting them do that. I don't have boundaries. I'm letting them treat me like crap. I'm not working on myself. I'm not holding myself accountable. I'm not doing the work. Like you have to take radical responsibility for the results and the life that you're creating because you are creating it every second, every minute of every hour of every day, literally with your thoughts and your feelings. So, this is why this work is so important because if you're not mastering your emotional resilience, if you're not understanding your own emotional awareness, emotional needs, and the thoughts that are causing them, that means that basically you're just out creating results that are just basically like half assed, subconscious, I don't even want this results. So you have to really think about that. I want you to look at your life right now and be so honest with yourself and say, am I living the life I know that I could be? Am I 1000% happy with all of my results in every category of my life? Self care, love, relationships, friendships, marriage, finances, job, like my physical health, my mental health. Are you like, are those categories a 10 out of 10? Seriously, think about that. Are they a 10 out of 10? 10 being amazing. I wouldn't change any part of this. I wouldn't change a freaking thing. It's all a 10 out of 10. If you can't say that for every single one of those categories, you're creating your result. I just want you to be able to take full responsibility for it. If you feel triggered right now, that's normal. Okay? If you feel mad at me, that's normal. This is where the coach says the hard things, and sometimes we don't like it. That's why coaching is so powerful, though. We will tell you the hard things that you don't always want to hear. The stuff that feels very bad, and sometimes you want to resist very, very hard. Okay, the slap you in the face situation, and I actually didn't mean to make that reference in regards to the whole Will situation, but seriously, let me just say that if you got into all of that fluff about the Oscars and Will Smith and Chris Rock, that's a example of EQ 101. Truly, like the incident that happened is a result of not managing Will Smith, not managing his emotions, and an example of Chris Rock in that moment having managed himself throughout that process with his emotions. You have two totally night and day situations. A lot of people are like, how did Chris Rock not slap him back, not defend himself? Well, first of all, I think that he was in absolute shock. Second of all, if you listen to clips of Chris Rock talking about his past and how angry he got, and how he became afraid of his own anger, that's really a powerful clip. As well as a clip that I listened to of Will Smith reading his audiobook. Both of their reactions go back to childhood and go back to how they've coped with their emotions, aka their emotional intelligence, whether they call it that or not. And it is so interesting to listen to. And it's another thing that we're going to kind of get into, not them specifically, but get into in the Equipped Parent Free Masterclass. So if you don't have a Facebook and you want to be in there, make a profile and just make it long enough so that you can attend the masterclass and then deactivate it if you want. I know a lot of listeners don't have Facebook. So if you want to be in that masterclass, but you're like, how do I get in there? You either join the Equip Society because it will be uploaded in there later, or you join Facebook, make yourself a profile, or if you already have a profile, click the show notes. It'll take you to the link and you can join us on April 14th. And we will talk about the emotional intelligence things, all the things from childhood to adulthood to parenthood to all the things, okay? But I'm going to leave you with this. You're the creator of your life. If you are not experiencing a 10 out of 10 in every category, it just means there's some gap work that needs to be done. There's a gap between where you currently are and where you want to be. And you are creating what you're experiencing in those categories all the time. okay? And you're creating it by your thoughts, which lead to your emotions, which lead to your actions, which lead to your results. So if you think of any of those categories, your mental health, and you're like, it's a 2 out of 10. Okay, the only way that that's going to get to a 10 is if you're taking an initiative. It's not going to magically happen. You're not going to wake up and just magically feel better. You're not going to get lucky one day and it's all going to work out. You're going to have to be the creator of your life because you are the creator of your life. You're going to have to operate from a different version of yourself than maybe you've been operating from to make it happen. Okay, same thing if you're like my physical. It's not a 10 out of 10. I would rate it a 6 out of 10. Okay, well, you have the potential for it to be a 10 out of 10. Why is it not a 10 out of 10? And you will probably give a bunch of reasons. Well, I don't have time to go to the gym. I get on track and then all of a sudden I get off track. I stop eating healthy. I know I should, but I'm not. And you'll give all of these reasons. And here's what I want to point out to you. Those reasons are just your gap work. Okay? Those reasons are your gap work. And those reasons are the quote, quote, hard thing to hear, excuses for why you don't have what you want. And they feel very true. I know you really feel like you don't have the time. But to change it, you'd have to make the time, right? You'd have to make yourself a priority. You would have to change your thinking. You'd have to change how you feel about eating healthy, how you feel about working out. You would have to change the actions that you're doing and the things that you're avoiding in order to create a different result for yourself. And when you're willing to do that, then things change. And when you're having trouble doing that, but you do really want it, like you really, really want it, but you're like, I can't figure out why I'm just not getting it. I can't figure out why it's so hard. That's where coaching can really be helpful. Okay, so I'm here if you ever want to chat. You can schedule a free 60-minute consult on MacyRenee.com. Join us for the free masterclass to understand more about all the human behavior things on April 14th. Click the show notes. I'd love to see you there. And as always, the Equip Society is always open for you to work on these things. So whenever you're ready, you just go to MacyRenee.com and you sign up. You just become a hell yes and decide, I'm ready for life to change. I'm ready to do the work. I want the help. I'm in. And when you get there, man, we will welcome you with open arms. I will be so excited to have you in my world. Okay. I love you guys. I will talk to you soon. I can't wait to tell you how my trip to Austin goes. So I will be talking to you soon. Have an amazing week. Bye.